Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Russell Does Stuff. My name is Russell, and welcome back to my channel. I have been trying to keep quiet about this Cracker Barrel thing. The saying is, go woke, go broke, and it's true. As a business owner, the last thing I want to do is alienate my customers. Okay. My customers expect certain things from me. They want me to mow their lawn with a good quality mower. They want me to show up. They want me to do the same things over and over and over again. Okay. That creates trust and the feeling that you want your customers to have. Okay. The title of this video is going to be something like this: God, please help Cracker Barrel. Evidently, Cracker Barrel hasn't been paying any attention to Bud Light, to Harley Davidson, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Jaguar, etc. They keep trying to push a narrative down everybody's throats. I understand these people. I've worked for people that are on the board of directors at companies. They are out of touch with everyday Americans, common Americans, hardworking Americans. Their customers. They don't even understand their customer base. So to them, it's like changing the wheels on a new toy. Remember when you got a toy for Christmas and it was a car or a truck, you took it upstairs and you took it apart and put it back together? That's what they're doing to Cracker Barrel. Okay. They don't understand and they don't care. You know, there's a saying that's like this: don't fix something that ain't broke. Cracker Barrel ain't broke. It's a little broke. The food and the prices, they need work on those two areas, because after church, Cracker Barrel was the one place we all would go to hang out and have fellowship. We all stopped going to Cracker Barrel when the prices were raised and the food quality went. All right. I love the grits. I love the green beans. I love the fried steak. I love all their food. But the quality's changed and the prices went up. You know, when you go to a Cracker Barrel, you're going to get a hardworking waitress or waiter that's going to take care of you. They used to have busboys. And they started making their waiters and waitresses clean their own tables, which I didn't like. For one, Cracker Barrel was ground zero for learning how to do things if you were a young person. You could get a job cleaning the tables off, sweeping the floors under the tables, you know, filling waters and stuff, you know. They've totally removed that from their business plan, which is hurting young people. A story about Cracker Barrel. My daughter's mother. Remember when they had them lanterns, them oil lanterns on the tables, and you could move them around? She was a klutz. And one evening, she went like this with her hands, and she knocked one of those oil lamps off the table. And it smashed into a million pieces all over the floor. They screwed those lanterns down onto the table because of her. This was like 25 years ago that happened. I'll never forget it. Glass went all over the place. And what a mess that made. So they screwed them down to the tables because of her. Now they don't have oil lamps in the stores, I don't think, anymore in the restaurants. We all know that Cracker Barrel is uncomfortable. When you're sitting at those tables and them wooden chairs, and you got somebody that's this close to you sitting behind you and stuff, we were okay with that because we liked the food. All right. Those wooden chairs and those tables, and it was all uncomfortable. They started adding things to the tables. I don't know what you call them, where they'd put specials and stuff next to that little peg game that you would play and stuff. So they reduced the amount of room on the tables probably about 15 years ago, advertising certain things and stuff, and along with the salt and pepper shakers and stuff, it just added more clutter to the table. So, remember when we go to Cracker Barrel and you had to put your name in, and you'd go sit out front, and hopefully if you got a rocker chair or not, you could sit. And in Florida, it's hot out. So if you're sitting in a rocker, it made your wait for your table a lot better. I don't remember the last time I've had to put my name in at a Cracker Barrel. It's been years. There's been a decline in people going there. So it's easier to get into now. I don't wake up in the morning and think I'm going to go to Cracker Barrel for breakfast anymore. Those thoughts are gone. I wrote a few things down here. People are complaining about the decor, all the antiques and stuff. I'm left-handed. I notice things. So when I'm at Cracker Barrel eating dinner or breakfast, I've never gone there for lunch. You notice things. They had guns over the fireplace. They had all these antiques and stuff, nailed to the walls and etc. And I remember the little tags they had on them to keep track of everything and stuff. And I just wondered, who cleans all that stuff? Who's dusting all that stuff off? Because you kind of felt like in some of them you were sitting in some Aunt Annie's attic. You're in Grandma's attic. And that was all right, They could never fake the floor, though. The floor should have been made out of wood, but it was made out of ceramic tiles, so it was easy to clean. So it was old antique stuff up here, and then, kitchen tiles that you'd find in the kitchen and the dishwashing area in the restaurant's back rooms and stuff. So it's kind of an interesting contrast. So I remember I was taking this guy to church. His name was Matt, and called him Matty. And he was very cheerful and stuff. He'd go, "Yo, Russell, let's go to Cracker Barrel and get a smokehouse breakfast." Well, I was mentoring Matt and helping him out. Matt had serious drug issues, drug problems. And I was dragging him to church, and I was trying to help him out the best I could and offered fellowship when I could. And he didn't have any money ever, and I always bought 2 smokehouse breakfasts. Came with the sausage, the eggs, etc. And we had 2 years of those meals from Cracker Barrel. Matty's since passed away. He died of a fentanyl dose that he got in his drugs, and they just dropped him off outside of an emergency room and left him to die. So Matt probably passed away maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I think. But I'll never forget it. He'd yell down the street, "Yo, Russell, Let's go get a smokehouse breakfast. I think it was like $8.99. And it was longer than that. It was 13 years ago that we were doing the breakfasts, and 8 years ago or so when he died. So I miss Matty. He was a good guy. He always wanted to come stay over at the house and stuff, and I was always uncomfortable granting that request. I'd joke with him and say, "Hey, you're gonna get in my wife's purse or something, and eat us out of house and home or something." He knew what I was talking about. I think he had sticky fingers, but who knows? If you're looking down on me, Matty, I miss you, brother. So this might upset a few people, but I don't mind the change in the Cracker Barrel's decor on the inside. Okay. I don't understand, like I was saying, how they kept all that stuff from the 1800s clean, and I didn't know any of those people in any of those photographs and stuff. And the antiques were cool, but as a restaurant owner and stuff, they're just dust collectors, Back then, when they first opened up and had this concept, the restaurants were cleaner. I noticed as the years went on that the restaurants were harder to keep clean. And, you got your rules when it comes to restaurants. You want to greet the customer. You want to provide the customer with a comfortable atmosphere. You want to give them a good meal. You want to thank them for their business, and hopefully they come back. And it seems like Cracker Barrel abandoned all those thoughts. Now they don't care. They had to get rid of their DE, whatever programs off of their website. I guess 3 or 4 days ago, they erased all that stuff. Shame on them for trying to destroy something that church-going folks like, people like myself, used to like. Maybe God will, put his hand on this business and fix it. The CEO of this business, she doesn't have and share the same values that we have. And that's a shame. Cracker Barrel. Now, the barrel's not cracker. The word cracker is somebody who was working on a ranch and they'd crack a whip to move cattle along. Now, my dad's father was a farmer. I misspoke in my last video. My dad's brother was the highway patrolman, not my dad's father. He was a farmer. I don't know if I'd call my dad's father a cracker. I'd call him a redneck. Rednecks got the term from looking down at the ground while you're farming, in the back of your neck, between your hat and your collar would get burned. So you could tell who was a farmer and who wasn't. I don't know of many ranchers who would have a sunburned neck because they're looking across the horizon. They're not looking down constantly. So I understand who they named this restaurant after. Okay. The guy was probably into ranching or something, who knows? But to name your restaurant Cracker Barrel, it's gonna mean something. It's heritage, it's traditions, it's even theology. When you look at that logo on the front of Cracker Barrel, you see the old guy, his legs crossed, he's wearing overalls. You can tell he's in his later years. He's done farming, he's done ranching. He's leaning on a barrel. What did that barrel hold? Water. It's too big to be a whiskey barrel. Maybe a wine barrel. I don't know. It was catchy and it worked, you know. And the country store was a place you could go in and you could actually, in some cases, be close to the days of old because of the merchandise. Religion, gospel CDs, country music, games that you could buy that made you think, you know. They had clothing in there and stuff that was pretty cool. You could get old-timey soft drinks and old-timey candies and candy bars and stuff, which was neat, you know. So I think they're making a big mistake. Well, this is my rant on Cracker Barrel and what Cracker Barrel has meant to me and my family. And comment below. I want to hear what you guys think. What are your thoughts on Cracker Barrel? I told my wife it's not my business. They can do what they want with it. They can destroy it. They can make it better. They can do what they want. But at the end of the day, it's not my business. It's someone else's business. It's a board of directors' business. And they can do whatever they want with it. And I can like it, or I can choose not to like it. So, well, I appreciate every one of you, and you guys have a great evening, and we'll catch you on the next one.